All right, welcome to the Action Shooting Show. We are on part 2 here of the zombie run and gun after action. If you're not familiar with that match, go check out our part 1. If you don't want to check out our part 1, there's still some really cool stages we're going to be talking about. Once again, please like and subscribe to this. It does help us out. Tell your friends about it. If you have questions, concerns, things you want us to talk about, think we're full of crap on something, please feel free to contact us on social media, Facebook, like Instagram, YouTube, whatever. We'd love to talk to you about this stuff. We love helping you guys out. So, give us some feedback. We hear from people at matches. We don't hear a lot online. I guess, I'd rather hear from real people than online trolls, but it would be nice to, if you got questions, shoot them. So, we have just finished probably arguably the hardest stage of the match. A little bit more tramping through the woods. If you did the 15K, you went around this little pond and did all this other stuff. And we got down into a valley where traditionally Tiger has done some other long range stages.
Wait, I want to mention one thing. This was the only part of the course. We lost Tiger. This was the only part of the course where we got sort of lost for about 15 or 20 feet because it made sense to follow the fence down to the A-frame, and you were supposed to go into the woods and zigzag around. And so we walked a little ways and we were like, this is too easy. And we went back, we backtracked, and then through the woods.
We did the same thing.
Tiger, we're talking about, this was the one place in the state or in the match where we got a little bit lost. Like the marking wasn't clear to go into the woods. We wanted to follow the fence down the lodge to the A-frame. And
you didn't go long because you're like, I don't see any
this was the
marking, and there's a lot of marking, so we did something wrong. But we did the exact same thing. I imagine we weren't the only ones. So yeah, you head down, you get in this little valley. There's a field there, and this is all rifle. So the way Tiger kind of sets this up is the idea, if you got 2 teammates, you didn't have to do this, but you knew there's a lot of long range. Having a carbine shooter and having a more designated marksman type shooter, someone with a gun that reaches out a little bit further, was a smart plan.
So it goes to match flavor. We didn't talk about match flavor, but one thing about Tiger's matches has always been, it's a lot more DMR or sniper plus matches. And in the first year, people didn't get this and they struggled on the long range stuff, and people have gotten it now. This year, I wish we would have kept a count, like as ROs watching people come through. This year was the most that people carried 3 guns on as a team. And so they carried 1 bolt action or 1 heavy gun, and then 2 rifles, or 1 heavy, 1 carbine. And so I think that was unique this year, that people, they got it. They understood the flavor. And so I think that was a positive of this year.
Yeah, and you saw a lot of the, what would you call them, like medium caliber, medium range,
6.5 Grendel, 6 arc, stuff like that.
Yeah, stuff that's like, it's a small frame, but it's a little bit bigger bullet and a little bit more heft behind it. So you did see a lot of that. So with that flavor, on the beep, 1 teammate had to climb up an A-frame, and they actually put like a piece of plywood over part of where you climb. So it did help to have like a teammate help you. So like I was able to scurry up over that by myself, but I had my teammate pass my rifle up, because like to do both was going to be a little bit harder. So you get up on top of this A-frame. Tiger's used it before. The top is, there's a bunch of tires stacked up there. You've got not many, 3 targets up there that you shoot. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. And I think, do you just have 1 shot, or you have to get 2 rounds on it? Tiger's frozen.
What was the question?
What was it? Just 1 round on those from up top, or 2? Just 1?
It was 2.
1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so just a single shot each time. 6 total. And then the other person climbed underneath the A-frame, and they had some kind of improvised positions they're shooting through, kind of tires, and they had 12 targets or something
14.
like that. 14.
Yeah, it was 7, 1 through 7, 7 through 1.
So this was still a very high failure rate stage. I think some, because of the distance, RO day, the wind was horrible, so that was going to affect it. But even on competitor day, not a lot of people finished this. What were 500 out to 600 or something like that?
It was 585, 525, 666.
So I had a rangefinder. I brought it up there. Even it was hard because it was a big empty field, for one, which if you've not shot in that, and I've shot this field before, big empty fields, a target, you're not 100% sure, like, that looks like a full-size IPSC. It can be very deceptive to see how far something is.
Yeah.
Well, they were on the edge of a wood line. So it seemed like they were all pretty much even, but they were definitely stacked back.
And then when you're trying to shoot a laser at a wood line, the target's a little bit in front of it. It's real easy to hit the wood line and not that. And it was certainly not it wasn't hard, but it wasn't easy. That's for sure. I mean, it obviously, because a lot of people failed out on this. How did you guys do? You guys didn't clear this, did you, Mark?
No, I ranged it. I hit the right range, and then I dialed wrong. And so I missed, ranged it again. And Drosser was sitting there. He's like, you ranged it right. And I was like, so I looked at my stock where I have my thing. I was like, oh shit, I cranked it back to where it was. And then by then we were out of time. And I was like, John, let me get it. Just click, ding. I hit it, but it was just off the time. And then what got me, so this goes back to last year, this stage I pooped the bed, to say it in a nice way. And so this year I was so much more conscious about getting steady in the tires and like being set up right. And I wasted so much time doing that finally when I ranged it wrong, I was in the perfect position to shoot it wrong. You know what I mean? And so I missed it and then finally got it. And then my wife, she had a couple, but she wasn't going to run them either because it was perpendicular to the wind underneath. And so I was fighting left to right and she was fighting, I guess, straight on or straight off of the wind. And so it was a different problem for her down there too. And so the wind again just ate our lunch on that day.
Yeah, and like I said, but even on Saturday, like there wasn't a whole lot of people completing that stage. And it is 180 seconds is not as much time as you would think. And I forgot to add, after that, once both teammates were done, they had to communicate that they were both done. The person on top had to shoot a Sasquatch at 200 yards, maybe something like that. 100. Yeah, it felt pretty close.
But even climbing the A-frame, getting over that 4x4, 4x8 sheet of plywood, that was on your run time or on your shoot time. So if you spent 20 or 30 seconds on that, just getting up or handing the rifle up, all that, we're not all little monkeys like Ryan. So, we can't. Well, my wife is trying to push me up there and
So I was proud of myself on this one, and we completed it, which makes me happy because that was a tough stage. It definitely wasn't the fastest time. I have a habit of rushing shots, like not getting in that just blasting away, but I have trouble with that visual patience sometimes. In this stage, I was really proud of myself because it's like I looked at it's like, okay, I don't know how long that is. I took the time to get my, I had my laser ready, but like laze the target. Okay, there it is. Dial my dope. Get on. Okay, I found it. There it is. I got the right distance. Get on to the next one. Laser it. Do that. And I did the things and I get that third one. And now I remember the next two. But and then halfway through, like I had shifted a little bit and I wasn't in the, I felt like I was wobbling a little. okay, I got to readjust my position real quick. And it wasn't like I was taking forever on anything, but I was giving myself the patience to do what I needed to do to make those shots, which is not something, sometimes you, especially as time ticks on, I can get to that rush, try, hurry, which doesn't work. And even to say, like, after I got that 6 target, there's this Yeti and I'm dialed out to 500 yards. I'm dialing back down to 0, adjusting over. And like, I know time is ticking, and if you don't make it, it's a DNF, but I got to get down. I got to get steady. I got to get my target on, and I got to get that shot off, but I got to be aimed. I got to do the process to make that hit. And that's something I just personally struggle with. It's that 3-gunner in me. I like to go fast. And I was proud of myself for not letting the time get into my head and to just do the process as I had planned to do it. And it paid off in this case. It was, like I said, we didn't finish it by a whole lot. I mean, we were 160 seconds, something like that, 170. Like, it was close to the end, but I gave myself the time to do it, and that worked out. So, maybe there's a lesson in there for somebody else. Like, you can't rush. The saying, you can't miss fast enough to win. If you're not hitting the targets because of something, Mark dialed wrong. It wasn't maybe he was rushing, maybe it wasn't a rush. It's hard to tell after the fact, but like, if you catch yourself rushing and making those mistakes, you're not going to complete a tough stage like that. So,
well, the funny thing too is, like, when we got done and we saw the pictures that were taken, my wife was shooting offhand for like 3 of the hits that she got. And then she settled down in the targets. I was like, what were you doing there? She's like, I don't know. They were right there. So I just hit them. And then I was like, yeah, but settle down, like, you're standing above the tires. And then afterwards she settled down in the tires. It just experience kind of things. And
I was going to say, like, doing this now on 8 years of competitive shooting, there's a lot of things that we do that are just, we've seen this before. We've been in the situation. We just do what we do because we know this is kind of the way. And I try to help at matches, after matches. If I remember, I try to help some of the newer people I see. Like, you were standing up to shoot these, and then you sat down, to shoot these, and you could have seen them all from the seated position. So you kind of wasted 5-10 seconds doing that, just, and you were slower because you're shooting offhand instead of resting. I mean, I when I see it, I kind of try to throw some stuff out there to people. Just, not that I'm the best shooter out there, but I've done it long enough. I know some of the little shortcuts to, like, making it easy, a little bit easier than what it could be.
I do want to brag, though, because I want to get the picture of her shooting printed out, because she's got the perfect finger off the trigger when she's aiming. And it's just like, yes, honey, you're doing it right. You're going.
That's great. I don't know. Are you still, I think Tiger's, nope, there you are. Can you hear us? Hopefully his internet gets a little bit better here. We'll get him in. It was a fun stage, but it was a challenge. Big wide open fields, and
this was another one with only 4 or 5 people finish this one. This was very, very hard.
Yeah. So, Tiger, did you have anything to add to that stage down in the valley?
More people struggled with the short targets than I thought. Like, there were a few teams that the top guy finished and the bottom guy didn't. And that surprised me, because those were big targets at not very far ranges. But the weird position was just enough to throw people off. And it wasn't even really a hard position. It was just a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of tires, right? Which
it
not
was
always
one tire. Yeah, it was one tire, and you had to go under something to get to the tire. But yeah, it was just a little weird. Like I said, it wasn't hard. It was just but then people really did struggle. Like, the furthest one on that set of 7 was at like 170 yards, and it was a 12-inch plate. Like, it was, gigantic.
AR-15. I really don't care where you're zero. Like, within reason, I don't care where you're zeroed. 12-inch plate at 170 yards. Like, if you hold the center of that plate, most ammo, most guns, most zeros, like that's point blank range.
Point and click. Yeah,
So,
it was put the dot on the target, squeeze the trigger.
But like, I've shot, the one that gets me is shooting off like a rope or like a strap or something like that. And the gun recoils weird, and it's just like you get into weird situations, and some people just don't. Yeah, you don't do it every day.
It's just weird. Yeah,
Yep, 100%. My partner shot through all those so quick, and then like again, this is one of those stages. He's done, and I'm up here like, crap, it's on me now.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is. So, there you headed kind of back up towards the lodge. Headed up across over a fence, out and around, and then one of the classic stages. We talked about the Guardian version of this recently, but beware of bathrooms. This is a zombie special.
It's one of my favorites. I love this stage so much.
Just describe it this year. It was a little bit different, and this ate a lot of lunches, but for kind of a different reason than normal.
Yeah. So everyone kept asking me about the injury, right, on the healing spell stage back in. Well, what are you going to make us do? Shoot offhand at 35 yards? Or, well, if we're in the shitter, we can't, it can't really be a leg thing, and yada, yada, yada. So what I did was I bought a bunch of vet wrap, and whatever your dominant eye was, I covered your shooting glasses with vet wrap. Cover your dominant eye. And Mike Ford RO'd this stage, and I put Mike on it because I knew he would pay attention to what side the holster was on. Right? Like, if you're cross-eye dominant, hey, congratulations, you have an advantage in this one weird scenario, right? But
yeah, and which happens.
Which happened, yeah. But it was pretty basic. Partner one standing outside had to hold the door open.
With a string.
Yeah, with a string, with a rope. They didn't have to hold the rope in their hand. They could stand on it. They could do whatever they wanted with it. I did because it really wasn't that heavy. I just grabbed it and pulled it. Leslie, my partner, sat in the shitter. She was the injured person. The other person had to stay in the shitter the whole time. There were 35 flippers of various sizes and shapes. From, I think the closest one was at 8 yards, and the furthest one was at 35 or 36 yards. Like, that's a shot. That's a heck of a pistol shot. And then you had to declare done.
And that was what, and that's what got people. There was a lot of targets, fairly, I don't want to say fairly dense wood, but a lot of targets in tree lines and bushes, and they weren't hidden, but it was very easy, apparently, to overlook a target and say, I'm done. And then, oh, here's a target standing up. And then target, I don't think we mentioned yet in this, but at Tiger's match, if you fail, if you DNF the stage, if anything's not completed, it's a DNF. So you could have shot everything in 10 seconds, just smoked it. You shot everything but one target, and you're like, oh, we're done. And that one target's up, 180 seconds.
Yep.
So,
zombies eat you. You die. Sorry.
So this is what I was saying earlier about this is where red dot actually helped, because if you're shooting a non-dominant eye, a red dot is still your friend. A red dot will still help you. And so my wife shot non-dominant because she was injured on the first one, and she's in the bathroom. She's shooting her side. I'm shooting my side. But the way the trees were is that I couldn't see the angle that she should have seen. And so I'm shooting, I'm running through everything. I'm thinking we're good. And then I crouch down, and I'm like, there's targets to the right. And she's like, huh? Huh? And she pans over. And so I'm crouched down shooting under the bushes, and I'm shooting through trees, and she's shooting, now she has to pan over to shoot through this. And so we actually had a good time on that one. We overall good time on that. But it was one of those where it's like, there's stuff way over under there that I couldn't see standing. So I'm crouched down and she's trying to shoot across. And so that was an interesting thing for us.
It was a 45-degree field of fire, which is fairly wide. Like a lot of people don't realize, even on big, wide open bay stages, you're really only painting 15, 20, 30 degrees. I had a full 45 degrees field of fire on this one, and that's a lot to have to search through. I mean,
Yes. Yeah. So like me and my partner, our thing was like, well, we'll shoot everything. We're like, don't be in a rush to say done.
Yeah, because it's off the last shot.
It's off your, exactly, which we said, it's off your last shot. So if we get done, let's say we get done in 20 seconds. If we take 160 seconds to look around and the buzzer beeps, we still got 20-second time. You know,
Yeah.
you just got to call. And so we cleared it all. I mean, it was, but we did a good, we did a good search and assess. That's, you're just teaching people to search and assess. I like that. We're getting our tactical. So
I will say, I watched the winning team, Mike Ford, jackass that he is, taking home all the hardware. And Mike Ford and Trevor Saunders, I watched them shoot this stage. And if it hadn't been flippers, like if I'd had static steel out there and you were trying to follow hits,
you wouldn't have been able to call it.
No, it's impossible.
Like there was so much going on watching those two shoot this stage that I literally couldn't track it. It was truly something to watch. Like it was something to watch.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason they won the match.
Yes,
and they were the dream team this weekend. Mike's normal partner wasn't able to make it. He kind of got Trevor last, which was a great. But yeah, so it was going to be John Hutt, which he's won the match with before. And John Hutt's an amazing shooter. If there is somebody that you could replace with John Hutt, Trevor Saunders would be it. We're talking, these are Legion operator class. This is first and second. Saunders was first. Ford was like second to him by like almost nothing. The difference in those two. So you take the top two shooters at Legion, I think arguably, at least on the East Coast, we'll say that's the premier. Like Legion brings out the top shooters on the East Coast and
I would
outside the East Coast.
That those three, Ford, Saunders, Hutt, are arguably the top three run and gunners in the country. Where Sean Murphy doesn't show up. And there are probably 3 or 4 guys in Texas that are also arguably the top 3 running gunners in the country. But yeah, definitely on the East Coast, those 3 guys are.
That's what I'm speaking for. These are phenomenal shooters, so they just destroy. Now here's the second part. I'm going to tell on Mike a little bit. I think most people, if you've talked to him, know this. The other thing about having Mike RO that is because I know a handful of people complained because they have vision impairments with whatever their non-dominant eye is. Mike Ford has from birth a issue with his left eye where even with a contact, it's basically useless. Like with a contact, he can see, and that's about it. Like this is not good. So he's texting me, he's like, or talking to me later about people complaining, well, I have this thing. And Mike's like, I got no time for this. Like, I can't see. And I'm pretty sure he was the one in the.
Yeah, he was.
He was the one shooting with the dominant eye covered. He's got very little vision and still made do with it. So it's like, so that's a good person to have there because, like, whereas I may have a little bit of, he's got zero cares. He's like, yeah, sucks to be you. It sucked to be me in that position.
Yeah, and that's
deal with it.
And that's kind of part of it, though. Is I get it. You're blind in your non-dominant eye. You need to think about that as a like in a real life situation. And do I think you're going to have your eye covered like this? No, probably not. But if you get hit in the head,
blood makes it hard to see.
And you got blood flowing, or even just a bruise. If you got a black eye and it's swollen, swollen a little bit and it's like this, or rain falling on you, like all of that affects your vision. May not be as much, but are you rendered completely useless by that?
Yeah, I had, when I was younger, I cut my eye right in my eyebrow enough that it needed stitches. I'm telling you what, there's enough blood there. I thought I couldn't see. Like I thought my eye was. It bleeds a lot. So yeah.
This was in your amateur WWF days, right? Where you'd cut the eyebrow just for show.
Yeah.
So I want to point out now, we've jumped ahead. We skipped a stage. We skipped the bug hunt in the woods. Now that you guys are talking about bugs,
yeah, that was in way back.
Yep, we skipped a stage there.
That was So let's talk about bug hunt.
Healing spells.
Yeah. There's a lot of stages in this match.
There's a lot of stages.
Let's hit that real quick. Flashback to earlier in the match.
The most ever in a single match.
Right.
So this one, this was a pretty simple stage. I think most people probably completed this one if I had to guess.
It was a higher DNF rate than you'd think.
Really. Both teammates started inside of a UTV.
Yeah.
And side by side. And you didn't even draw your pistol, did you? You already had it out loaded.
It was on the dash because I didn't want to try to draw seated.
Yeah, because you're sitting next to each other, and they had a handful of targets out there, 10 or 10, and you guys just had to shoot them all.
Yeah, but they were kind of hidden.
Yeah, they weren't easy, but
they were painted literally lime green. That was the color of paint, was lime green.
Yeah.
And the biggest complaint I heard was, well, it was hard to rest on the steering wheel and get stable. And I was like, so maybe don't.
Yeah.
I think I rested and it was fine. Like, I don't know if it was the steering wheel or the dash or what, but like it was fine.
I would say, for the sake of discussion, I would say that doesn't even matter because they weren't hard targets. If we want to have a real discussion about this stage, it was that it was impossible to RO. It was
hard to RO.
Targets would flip down and flip back up, and you hadn't.
They weren't flippers.
They weren't. They just hit. Yeah, they just hit.
Yeah.
So there was only one RO there when we shot it, and how could that one RO watch 10 targets being shot by 2 people as fast as they could? So when the winning time was like 12 seconds.
Yeah, or faster. Right. The ROs, on RO day there was one person there. And I'm going to catch all kinds of shit for this statement. I trust my ROs to RO themselves honestly. Like, you and Kayla are not going to say, I hit that target when you didn't.
Right.
Crucifying.
At the same time, though, for competitive equity, it's really hard to say, well, Tiger, I shot all those. Your RO wasn't watching fast enough. We were on those. We hit that one behind the tree. Like, I'm not trying to shit on you because obviously I'm not shitting on you, but that was one of those where it was like, we're all shooting as absolutely fast as we can. Some people kind of, again, poop the bed on it where they were like 1-1, 2-2, 3, like they did not do it right. But it was so tricky to say, because what we did was outside in. And how do you say those were hits, those were hits, those were hits, those were hits, working in?
This stage was the major suffering point of having 13 stages. On RO day, where I had 30 people on the course, like Ryan, you RO by yourself on the long range stage, but that was an easy stage to RO by yourself
for the most part. That wasn't bad. Yeah,
I should have had flippers for this stage.
Yeah, and there's a couple things. It's a live and learn thing. I'll say in general, like if there's could be fast pistol in a stage, even if it's just one shooter, like you got to double tap them or you got to go 1, 2, 3. It can be hard to call hits with some of the faster shooters. So it is what it is. Match directors need to do what they can to try to minimize that. ROs, do your best. If you're a competitor and the RO doesn't call what you think is clearly a hit, remember they're not trying to screw you. Like, they're trying to keep up and do a good job. Yeah. And sometimes these matches are understaffed because there's not enough people or crap happens, literally, everyone's got lives and jobs. Like, someone's, mom gets sick, their wife gets sick, they can't come. Now we're an RO or two down, and that RO's trying to call hits, make sure that you're safely doing what you're supposed to do, because like calling hits is only one part of the RO's job. Right. Making sure that everyone's safe's the number one. So I've never been at a match or seen an RO like intentionally screw someone. And I've been doing this a long time. Like, does it happen somewhere? Yeah, it doesn't happen often, and it probably isn't happening to you. So just extend a little grace, because I have seen people get kind of wound up at even running guns. It's like, this is, extend a little grace to the people, because, the free match fee, most matches you get a free match fee, maybe a place to stay and some food. But like, we were there Thursday early, or Thursday night. Some of these people were setting up beforehand. But even then, like, I RO'd all of Thursday or Friday by myself. And then I ran the match. And then I go out and and if it's a multi-day match like Legion, this year Legion, I worked and ran on RO day on Friday. I worked RO all of Saturday. Literally all of Saturday, because I worked a night match on that, and then I RO'd all Sunday. And it's like, by Sunday afternoon, like, if you want to bitch at me because you think I missed something, it's like, sorry, like, I'm doing my best.
Well, no, this is actually a good point to say. All right, if you're watching this show, you've already been into this for a half hour or more, and you think run and gun's pretty cool. This is a volunteer sport, like 3-gun, like anything else. Like, if you care enough about to do it, can you find an extra day to go at an RO? And even if you're not a certified RO, because there's no certified ROs in run and gun, can you find the time to come out there and be part of the game? And then you'll learn so much more. When I took the RO class for USPSA, they said, you'll never be a better USPSA shooter than learning the RO game. Like, when you take this class, you'll learn how to be a better shooter. The same thing goes for run and gun, 3-gun, anything like that. PRS, I'm sure it's the same thing. It's like, when you commit yourself to the sport, you're becoming a better member of the sport. You're putting in your time, and you're getting out what you want out of this. And so take that away. If nothing else, like, this is just fun to listen about the match, but think about, hey, maybe this isn't my match, I don't care, but some match, if you can get out there a day early and help out, that it's dividends forever. Everybody appreciates that.
Yeah, even if you're like, well, I don't feel comfortable running a timer, like we all need a scorekeeper. I can teach you to run, if it's practice score or even a sheet, like, I can teach you run and gun scorekeeping in 5 minutes. By 30 minutes, you're a professional and you know exactly what you're doing. And, like, I'll run a timer. I got no problem running the timer for every shooter the whole weekend, as long as I'm not getting blasted by muzzle brakes.
Right. So my wife is a perfect example of this. Like, my wife's never RO'd anything, but I'll run the timer, she'll run the scorecard, and we're fine. We got the whole match there. And it's not hard for her to write down a time and your wait time, stuff like that. And it's value added. It keeps the match flowing. It helps everybody. And so that kind of thing.
And, at run and gun, if you've got someone to run timer, run tablet, and then one more person to like corral people as they're coming in and out of the stage, like 3 people at a run and gun, you can get a stage running like clockwork. Mm-hmm. If it's 2 people, it's a little bit harder. And I've run, being RO day, I've run a lot of stages by myself just because of the nature of it. Like, it sucks.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do.
We help people even on shoot day for this match. We helped on the wounded or the healing spells. We showed up and there's one guy running it. And so Kayla and I took over and helped just make that work. It's like, yeah, we can do it.
Yeah, I finished up Saturday, and the stage I was ROing had a bunch of people, and the stage my partner was doing was already done by the time we went to another stage, and like there's 5 ROs there, and man, that just ticked by. I mean, it was.
So we sent Jerry to one stage, and then we went to another stage. It's how it should go, right?
Yeah. Help out, guys. This is like you said, this is a volunteer sport. ROs aren't getting paid anything. The match directors aren't making any money. Like they're not buying Cadillacs and Ferraris for being out there, Range Rovers or whatever. And you're thinking, well, what's all this?
My most consistent profit has been able to buy me and Dustin Jones Subway on the way home every year.
Yeah. Like
we got a GoFundMe going. We have a GoFundMe going now for 15 grand.
Yeah.
It's going to take care of Tiger. He's got kids. We got to think about that. Let's
children.
Let's pitch in here.
And if you ask, well, where's all this money going? Well, in the case like Tiger, this is raising money. A lot of times, sometimes they're raising money for foundations, funds, things like that. But even when they're not, like ranges are really expensive to run. If you're renting out a whole weekend, a lot of times they're closing stuff down, so they got to be recuperated for that. They're buying steel. They're buying targets. They're buying the paper for, backup scoring. They're buying pasters. They're buying
tablets this year.
Tablets because,
Legion. Look at what Legion's doing. Legion is all about the Gold Star families. Same sort of thing. Like, do you believe in what we're doing out here for those families? Help out.
The people putting these matches on are the MDs are losing money. And the ROs are spending their money to go out there to do all this. Like, just because I've talked to people, I run a local match and people are like, when I'm like, hey, this is volunteer. No one's making money. Oh, you're not making money on this? No. Like it costs me gas money to come out here. It costs me, I buy things for the match that I'm not going to go take a receipt to the club for $15. I mean, you know what I mean? Like it's just, I put a lot of time, money, and energy at home into this because I want to do it and I want to help the community. Just keep that, we'll finish our public service announcement, but keep that in mind.
If you can.
Help if you can.
Do what you can.
I can't always. I RO every match because I do find some enjoyment in it. Don't feel like you have to RO every match, but if you shoot 10 matches next year and you didn't RO a single one of them, I may look at where your priorities are and what you're doing because you should probably be helping at one of those.
It's more fun.
It's way more fun. But
it is
another thing, I talked to a lot of new guys that Zombie was their first match. And so you say like, they came up to me and they're like, how do we do more of these? It's like, well, here's where you find them. But when you find them, you have to make them happen. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't just happen organically. You have to help to make this happen. So that kind of stuff is important.
Yeah. And here's a cheat, guys. I'm going to get in trouble for saying this. Some of these matches that are, some of these matches that are really, really hard to get into, ROs automatically get in. You can get your name on the list and you do a good job at it. These match directors will go, hey, can you RO this match? Heartbreak sold out in 50 seconds this year, something like that. And everyone's like, oh gosh, it's 7:00. I got to get on. And I'm doing whatever the heck I want because they said, yeah, once everyone gets on, just fill out and the ROs will approve you. So there's the cheat code. So just go help out. It's fun. You get to drink a lot of bourbon with your friends. And this year, Tiger, this is maybe the most bourbon that's been consumed at a Heartbreak or at a Zombie. There was a pretty impressive collection of empty bottles by the end of Sunday.
We did what we could.
All right, moving on. We've detoured long enough. The next stage was also a high failure rate stage. This one, you went down this little valley, and it was pretty steep, and it was not hateful going down, but it was steep. And then you went up as far as you went down, plus a little bit.
I
then
think
you
it was
got
more
to,
hateful going down. I think it was
it
more
was
hateful
tough.
going down.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, driving a UTV from Bug Hunt to that stage was
so much fun.
It's fun, a little on the sketchy side. Like I told Tiger, I was like,
I rolled one.
He did. He put one on its side. He told me what to do, and I drove this UTV. And I ride dirt bikes, quads, UTVs. So like off-roading and some sketchy stuff is not something that worries me. But like I told him after that, I was like, if you send anyone out there who doesn't have experience with a UTV or driving off-road, do not send them that way. Because I mean, I locked the thing up at one point because there was a pretty bumpy hill and I was downshifting, engine braking down some of the hills. It was sketchy, but you get up the hill, you get to the top, there's a little rise, and it actually kind of goes down and up again. And this is rightfully the long range stage. I think we call things long range and running guns sometimes that are 200 or 300 yards or 400 or 500. This year, the furthest target was right at 1K, so 1,000 yards, which is why, like, I brought a 6.5 out. I've got a 18-inch 5.56 that, even with 77 grains, like 800 yards, I'm going transonic. Like, if I get 1 to 1,000, it's just a hope and a prayer. So I worked this stage on Friday. You had 10 targets. You had 2 shooters. You could break them up however you wanted. I think generally what most people, the plan was the carbine shooter is shooting the closer ones. Your precision shooter is shooting the further ones. And the shoot order was target 1, target 10, 2, 9, 3, 7, 4, 6, 5. I got off there. Yeah, but yeah, you get the idea. So most people, the carbine shooter was shooting the first target and working their way out. The precision shooter shot that 10 and worked their way in. As you got towards the middle, there was a little overlap sometimes. But so that 1,000-yard couldn't be hit until the closest, which was 150 or something like that.
100 exactly.
Was it 100 exactly? Okay. Yeah. So you worked your way out. The 1,000-yard shot was big and generous. Friday, the wind was horrible. So most of Friday, if you missed, I mean, at one point we had a 6.5 Creedmoor shooter on the 1,000 yards bolt gun that was holding over 2.5 mils of wind to the left and missing still a good deal to the right. So the wind was crazy. And this valley had a couple dips in it. So like at the shooter, and this is a wind thing, at the shooter, the wind was coming from your back. Like you could feel the wind on your back. But halfway down the valley, there was a clear, distinct cut across over top of the trees, which you're gonna arc your bullets pretty high in this. That was really blowing it side to side. So, and if you're watching on glass, there was a lot of other stuff happening between you and that, but the predominant thing was a lot of left to right wind. And simple in theory, hard in application, because the 1,000-yard was big. The one in front of that, 9 something, still kind of big, but a little bit smaller. And then, but those size. Was it the same size? Mm-hmm. But as it came up, they got smaller for sure. Yeah. And even the carbine shooter, you had a couple close ones, but then like there was one at like 300 something that shrunk down a little bit.
Yeah, that was the smallest MOA target on this stage. Was at 300 yards.
Yeah.
It was still 3.5 MOA, but
yeah. So for me, it took me 8 shots to get on 1,000 when I cold bored the 930 last year. And I had a spotter. He kept saying, "You're just right of the target." But he didn't have a real good he didn't tell me just right what that meant. Now, you guys have seen this guy before. He's called a lot of things.
Yeah,
still
not
bought a
nice
thing.
things.
But I ended
But
up being 2 mils, like Ryan was saying. I was 2 mils left to get on at 1,000.
Which is a shit ton.
And
generally, I try to say like you're half a target, you're a full target. I don't know what I was saying when Mark was there. If you don't have like a reticle in your spotting scope, which I didn't, it gets really hard to call. Like if I have a reticle, I can just tell him how many mils I see him off. But it was
right. And I don't hold this against Ryan because obviously it's on me as a shooter. I was getting help. Help is better than nothing. Think about this. It's on me to get on that target. He was giving me something. And so I kept moving left and left and left. And then finally I was off the plate left before I hit. And then my wife was shooting the close stuff. And then by the time, like you guys said, 300, she couldn't hit the 300. And so when I came down to the 300, we ran out of time because I had to draw back down to get to 300. And by then we were out of time because I had spent so much time at 1,000.
The hard part with this stage, even on Saturday with less wind, so the 1,000-yard was big, and you did have some areas where you could see some splash. Once you got to the 900, there were some bushes and brush around it and grass and stuff, and there was very few times I could call misses on the 900. And if you didn't see trace, it was really hard to call the 900.
Yeah.
And then once you got to target 8, which I forget the distance on that, it started to get a little bit smaller, which made it challenging. So, like it was kind of a challenging. It was funny. My partner, I got everything. We completed this stage as well. I got everything down to like target 7, I think. And I was struggling a little on that. Well, my partner's not doing anything. So he starts shooting at it. He ended up shooting the target 7, which really should have been the one that I shot. And then 5 and 6 were really, really close to the same distance. Like for the size targets, they were pretty much the same distance. So I ended up hitting
hard, I think.
Yeah. So I ended up hitting the 5 and then the 6 right after. So I kind of made up for my miss there. But I
don't think anybody got the long range on the RO day with our wind.
Drosser and
and Ben. You're right.
And Ben got it, but they were the only ones, and a couple people got very, very close. Yeah. But it was a tough day, and then Friday or Saturday, more people got it, but wasn't like it was a high completion stage either.
I think 8 or 10 teams, same as last year, same as like the average.
Yeah. So we got it, and it was. I mean, we didn't set up. You had 2 shooting positions if you wanted. You had a what do you call it? Trailer that had a platform on it, and then both people could use that. The other person one person could shoot there, one person could shoot prone. They also had a like a kind of janky looking but solid enough tripod.
Yeah.
So I think like my partner used the tripod to rest off of, and then I shot off the platform. I saw a couple people both try to shoot off the platform. I don't know that was the strategy, as Mark's mentioned earlier. 2 people shooting off the same thing, even if you're not shooting at the same time, it's really easy. I mean, if that one person's trying to spot for you or trying to be still and moves a little as you're breaking the shot, you're kind of out of luck. So
it wasn't a 2 vets tripod, though. Let's be clear.
No. It was not. It was, but it looked really janky. It was more solid than I would have expected by how it looked. Yeah. It was very doable for that situation. So, so after that, you head off into the woods. You go through the woods a little bit, and you come upon. I hope Tiger can help me out here, or Mark. I don't remember what the next stage is.
Dueling trees.
Yes.
No. Not
for the 10K it was dueling trees, but for the 15K I don't know what you guys did.
Texas Stars.
Texas Stars.
Oh,
you guys had to go up and around.
Yeah, explain that one because I don't remember that stage completely.
Okay. So you start. There are I think there were six rifle targets across a pond.
Oh, this was a good stage. Yes, I do remember this now.
Yes, this is one of my favorites. And you
I
start
did.
behind cover, quote unquote. There's like a double barrel laying on the ground, and you're behind it. Clear the rifle targets.
Yeah, so each of you, so he said there's 6 of them. Each of you have to shoot it.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
one
yeah.
partner shoots the first one, then the second one shoots it, and then you go to the next target. 1 1 1 1 1 1. So 12 hits, 6 for each shooter. And they were a little hidden in the woods, not crazy hidden, but that's always fun, like 2 people railing on, because whoever's shooting first, that next guy's like trying to break that shot as soon as that first one hits,
Yeah.
That's a fun stage.
And then you ground your rifles safely and you run over to a barricade, and around both sides of a barricade you shoot 2 Texas stars at about 20 yards.
And however you want, one shooter could shoot every one of them.
Yeah, however
you guys
you want.
Can split them up, doesn't matter.
Yeah. And a lot of people or no. Before you get to the barricade, you had to pick up the box.
A box of treasure.
Yeah,
a heavy box.
It was heavy.
Yeah.
And get to the barricade. You can set the box down, shoot your Texas stars, and then you pick the box back up, run back to your rifles, and you have to hit all of the targets once. Like you don't have to double tap.
Same thing.
Yeah.
No, I think they made us double tap.
Oh yeah.
Like each teammate had to shoot it one time.
Right.
So basically just do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had some problems because I was shooting first and I knocked one of the targets off with my 6.5.
If you knock it off, it's done.
Well, but then the RO was like, well, double this, and it got a little confusing. We lost a little time there because
But this was a really dynamic stage. There was a lot going on. But I had a lot more fun shooting it than I thought I was going to. And everything just kind of came together. The Texas stars, I felt like were at the right distance. They were the right different. Like this was one of the stages that actually some of my ROs designed. Paul Brooks and Aaron Hawkins designed this, and then I built it to their specs as best as I could. And so I didn't know how it was going to work because again, I didn't design it, and there's always a little bit of trepidation there. And it really did just come together beautifully. I felt like I don't know how you felt like it went, but I felt like it just went great.
I loved it. And there was just enough movement. So you pick that box up and it wasn't real close. Like there was just enough movement to get you a little smoked. You had to put the box down and then shoot. And then enough movement back with that like we didn't come even close to timing out, but there's enough happening that you really feel like you got to stay on the gas the whole time because like there's a lot going on and I need to get back and finish shooting this. And I don't know where, because you lose all track of time once you start doing stuff like that. I thought it was a phenomenal stage. I'm glad I had forgotten all about that, but that was an awesome stage.
Did you offhand on the second set of rifle?
I think we rested because our guns were on the ground and there was already something there you could rest, like a barrel or something you could rest off of. So
I offhanded it. I just picked it up. Leslie rested. She was my partner. She shot it. She went down but I just stood there and but I was shooting I was shooting a SBR AR with a can, so not a big heavy 6.5,
that my 6.5 weighs like 10 pounds. Not that I can offhand it, but
well, my DSU weighs 12, but I'm a real man.
Well, and this one, like I said, you pick up the gun off the ground. I don't know. You could offhand them. They were not particularly huge targets, but they were 6 inches
they were
probably.
Like 6 to
10
I think my biggest one was 10. The shields are 10. The Lucas Oil shields are 10. So
yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, I mean it was definitely doable
at 60 to 70 yards. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's certainly doable to offhand all of them. I was probably faster rested.
Yeah,
But,
right.
So, yeah, that was a good stage. So, from there, then I think you went to
Dueling trees.
the dueling
Dueling
tree.
trees. So when we get to the
So-
dueling trees, we were out of ammo. Like, we didn't think we even had to shoot that dueling trees. We thought it was 15K because we had no ammo left. And we're like, all right, every shot has to count on these dueling trees. And so we were very slow and deliberate just to survive and have enough ammo to get to the end on the dueling trees. And there was places to rest your pistol, but you wouldn't think to do it unless you knew you only had, like 15 rounds. And so that was our big problem on the dueling trees. We finished that one. We did fine. I know that a lot of people ran out of ammo on the dueling trees, and they zeroed the next stage because they had no ammo, which goes all the way back to that first stage we talked about where you shot those long range pistols. And so we didn't even, on 10K, we didn't have to do that, but we just had no pistol ammo left. And so we got through it. So I guess to describe it, it was dueling tree, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, move up closer, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, move closer, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it was, you just had to make those hits. And then actually, one of the problems, and other people had this problem too, far away, a 9mm really wasn't barely enough to flip the pistol around. And so I thought we were going to zero it because I shot a plate and it just laughed at me. It just like pop and didn't move. It didn't flip around. I was like, well, that's this stage. We should just DNF it now. And I sat down. There was a piece of wood there at that first position. I sat down and I shot the very edge of it to send it around. And that was enough to keep us moving forward. But like, we were out of ammo. We were counting ammo coming up to that stage and like rationing stuff to go up to it. And so that was a tough stage. Yeah. It was a fun stage. It would have been a great stage any time other than not having enough ammo, but that was a tough stage because of that. I think that hurt a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a list of all the stages, like descriptions, and it wasn't in the right order, but like as we were going through, I was marking it off. So like towards the end of the match, I'm like looking like, how many stages here have pistol, and if they have round counts, how many do they have? Because like I was getting pretty low, and we're both checking ammo, and it's like, well, if I run out or if I get low, we can grab this, or kind of planning. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of dueling trees in matches, as they just don't seem real consistent when you're shooting them, and depending on the lean and like where they're set up, it's like if I got a 6-inch paddle and it's leaning the wrong way, well, really only the 3 inches at the edge is what's going to make it work. And then you get situations where it folds up and it's like stuck in the middle. And it was a fun stage though. 10mm, I know.
10mm.
I know.
Extra millimeter. You were saying earlier you would pay a lot for an extra inch. You only have to pay another 10 cents a round for an extra millimeter.
Extra millimeter. That's all you need. That's all you need, Ryan.
But yeah, that's a in general, I'm not a big fan of those. It was a fun stage though. I don't say that taking away from the stage, because
it was a deceptively hard stage. Like you look at it and you're like, oh, they're just right there, and you just shoot them, and it's easy. And then it's like, oh, that's hard.
Well, for me, the most fun part about it was Kayla would shoot, and I'd be ready where it was going to be. So you know what plate's going to come to here, so you can be waiting right there, and as soon as it flips around, you hit right back, and then you move forward.
Yeah, teamwork on this page really did shine.
That was the most fun part about that.
All right, so moving on from there, we get to the last stage of the match, and they're very close together. Like you can pretty much see. I think you can see them from the two.
You can, yeah.
we'll try to describe this stage. This was a very, very fun stage. When the RO is explaining it to you, even reading it beforehand, and you're like, I have no clue what the hell is going on in this stage.
This stage is easier to shoot than it is
to explain. It 100% is. So to start off with, you have 3, right?
Yes.
3 of the infinity targets. So they're just a self-healing target. You spray paint them. So every time you shoot it, the paint flakes off. You can see where you shoot it.
And I will say this. I don't shill for companies that don't sponsor my match. And Infinity Targets did not. I asked them to, and they did not. Best replacement for paper ever. Like,
yeah, they're still reset, but it's way easier than.
It's way easier, and just.
The only downside, as a match director, if people are doubling like holes right on top of each other,
it's hard.
You kind of have to give them the benefit of the doubt, because
yes.
It's not like paper where you can see 2 holes next to each other. It's just one big missing. This, they were close enough the RO could usually see.
Well, no, they were far enough. They were far enough that if you were double tapping at 20 yards, go fuck yourself. You weren't actually doubling that one.
Yeah, but the coyote was pretty close. And
well, the coyote maybe, but no one was.
The coyote, I put real close because I wanted people to know they were shooting a dog. and some people legitimately said that messed with them. Like they hesitated.
I've been trying to get a coyote kill with my pistol at my in-laws' farms with my carry gun. Every time I'm out there, I'm like, please, like a coyote, a raccoon, something. I need to get a pistol kill.
And that target was at 4 yards, and I had people miss the coyote. Like hit the target, miss the coyote, which did not count. Like you had to be in the outline because it's at 4. So, that's from me to the door. Like,
so 3 targets, 2 shooters with pistol. Each of you, or you had to put 5 shots on each target.
Yeah,
not a person, just overall. So let's say Mark has no ammo and Kayla has all the ammo. She can put 5 rounds in each target, and you're fine. It didn't matter who shot what. You could each shoot a bunch of them. We each shot I shot the closest, he shoot the furthest, and then the middle one, we both put like 3 or 4 rounds on just to be sure. From there, you had a choice. There were 2 mini IPSC or mini poppers.
Yep.
That if you knocked them down, you could go around the door. If you didn't knock them down, and it was your choice, it was a control panel you were shooting. If not, you had to go through the door, which meant you had to move a bunch of tires that were in front of the door to then go through. So how much ammo do you have? How good are you at pistol? They were very doable shots. My partner got to them before me. I wasn't shooting pistol all that well. Before I could even get lined up on the first one, he had knocked both of them down. So, So you either go around the door or you go through it. When you got to the other side, and this is where it sounded a little confusing, your rifles were staged over there with mags sitting next to it. So you grab your gun and your mag. The carbine shooter, generally was the person, he would run to a wobble platform, and he had, Tiger, how many? A handful of infinity targets that he had to shoot?
He had
2 5-round.
One 5-round infinity target that he had.
Okay.
He had to put 5 rounds on an infinity target at like 6 yards. Like it was blast away. And
then the more, let's say, precision shooter, which it's what I did. You had 4 or 5 little targets that you had to shoot. And this is where it gets a little confusing. There was a diamond target that your partner had to shoot from the wobble platform. So he had 1 shot to hit that. If he hit it on the first shot, I had a hostage target I had to shoot. You had to shoot it regardless. If he hit it, I got 3 tries at that hostage target. If he missed it, I got 1 try on that hostage target. So he had to do his job. You had to do your job. keep in mind, on this stage, at any point, any miss is a DNF.
Except for the diamond.
Except for the diamond. So if you drop the shot on pistol for some reason, the first thing, you DNF.
Yeah.
Except for the control panel. You could shoot that at that as much as you want.
Yeah.
If he missed any shots on the infinity target, which you really shouldn't at that distance, or if I can't shoot one of those little ones, DNF. So in my case, my partner made a great shot on the diamond. He hit it. So I got 3 rounds now to hit, which was a cowboy behind a pig. And
So
there really wasn't much of the cowboy sticking out. Like, it was a pretty tough shot. Here, if I shoot the pig, that's a no shoot. That's a DNF.
Yep.
So in my case, I aimed a little on the high side. I thought I got 3 hits. I got 3 chances here. I'm going to air, should hit, but if it doesn't hit, it's over top. I got a first round hit on it. We were done. It was a pretty decent time on that. I was pretty happy with it.
The fastest way to shoot that section was for the carbine shooter to not even take aim at the diamond.
Oh, yeah.
Put one in the berm, like swing over, put one in the berm, trust your precision shooter to make that single hit. That was the fastest.
Maybe.
I'll be honest. I'll tell you my perspective. I didn't have a clue what the fuck the pig was.
Your wife
versus the cowboy. It was just a bunch of steel, and I just shot at the top of the steel and knocked the cowboy down. And they're like, "You're good," and I was like,
"I don't know what's
feel
going
really
on.
Good about that." Yeah, thank you for that.
What am I doing here?
Yeah, we got real lucky on that one, but
one. Kayla smoked that diamond, and like, she shot great. I watched you guys shoot several stages. She shot great, by the way.
She did. Yeah. So when I hit that cowboy, I felt really good. Like that, I say that it saved our match, not in terms of points or scoring, but the last stage of the match, you want to feel good about you shot your match right.
Yeah.
You ended on the right note, and that was what it was.
I think, interestingly, on that stage, and I don't know why this is necessarily, there seemed to be a speed limit on that stage, because at the end of the match, when you looked at the scores, like the top handful of shooters, there was a lot of times that were really stacked up kind of close together.
Yep.
And,
I don't know.
And that's a weird one. I've shot matches that have...
I don't know if it was the run. Like...
Yeah. Because I've shot matches with activators and things that go at a certain speed, and like, it kind of, everyone shoots at the same speed because it's kind of just the activator and that kind of thing. There was nothing like that on this stage, but when I looked at it, I was like, man, everyone's really stacked up kind of the same. And again, it was a tough stage because you had just gone 10K, like 6 hard miles, or in our case, like 9 some hard miles. And then you've got to do a sprint between bays and then make some really tight precision shots. So, I mean, like, my scope 4.5 is as low as I can go. So my transitions on those targets was a little slower than I would have liked, because like on a 20-yard shot, you're zoomed in a little bit more than I would normally zoom in 4.5 for a 20-yard shot. You know, that's a little bit more than I
right.
The offset dot was ruled there.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it wasn't, if I shot that more often, I would have been a little bit quicker, because you can kind of prairie dog it, you know, look up and back down. But fun stage. That was really a neat.
Yeah, that sold the
format.
match.
Yeah. So after that, you could almost see the finish line. You hustled on in. In my case, my calves were like, I said earlier, I had some calf issues towards the end, and it wasn't just, they weren't sore. They were locking up. Like at one point out in the course, I couldn't move for like 45 seconds because it just, I don't know if you guys ever had that where a muscle just like decides to tighten up. And so like, I'm trying to run. Dude, I was trying to run in with Tim, and like, I was putting out, I mean, I put 100%, but like I was moving quick. And then as we were getting closer, I could just feel that muscle, tightening up. And I had to like back off on the speed to not just have the thing turn into a big, piece of rock. But yeah, you hustled on in and you were done. And piece of cake, right?
Easy day. Easy day.
So awesome match. Easily the most challenging match that I have shot in a long, long time. I'm proud of myself. So I think we were 4th in the 15K, which I was fairly happy with. I was expecting to do. We were the only team. We were 2nd in shooting, so I was really happy about that. We were the only team, I think the whole weekend, me and Ty were talking about, I think the only weekend between 10K or 15K that only DNF'd one stage. Every other team DNF'd 2 or more stages. Now, we got beat because the teams that maybe DNF 2 stages shot a lot of the other stages quicker than us. We were a little more calculated. And the other thing is, you say, oh, only one DNF. Well, when you've got 13 stages, each stage means a little bit less.
Right.
Points wise. So, I thought we did a little bit better than that. I think my running hurt us a little bit, just cramping up. And then we were a little slow on some stuff. My pistol was really, really rough that on Saturday. So, but it was a great match. I mean, I thought I had fun and said we were happy to shoot as clean as we did. I mean, the whole match, I shot less than 100 rounds of 6.5 Creedmoor. So I shot.
I did not. I did not. I had probably my worst range day in the history of my life on the day that I apologized to Leslie multiple times. I expended over 400 rounds of ammunition on this course. So yeah,
I mean, like I pistol, I did not shoot as cleanly.
As we were building these stages, the tagline was, sounds like a shooter problem. And then we go and start shooting and we're like, well, shit, now we're the shooters and it's our problem.
Yeah. You will have that. I was very happy with my rifle shooting. I feel like I really pulled my weight there because a couple of the stages that we didn't DNF that other teams DNF'd really came down to long range precision rifle. I mean, the A-frame stage, that's where most people were DNFing. The long range stage, it was Yeah.
So I think we ended up 3rd for the Jack and Jill teams, but there was only like 6 this year. But
solid. That's still solid.
The part that we really took away was we were like 18th out of 40 or 50 or 60. Must have been 60 10K. How many 10K were there, Tiger? 40? I think we're 18th on shooting out of 40 for 10K. So we beat a lot of man teams. So you can't feel bad about that. And then, our run was a walk, so we don't feel bad about that either.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had a good time. You guys
did great.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, getting out and shooting, I regret that where we're at with kids in our life and school and things, like Mary couldn't shoot it with me because I loved shooting that with her back in 2020 or whatever when 2020. Yeah. And it is fun shooting with your wife. You got the whole weekend. I mean, that's awesome and there was a lot of women. There was we've talked about this before because of the team match thing, and there tends to be more couples, and there was a lot of women out there shooting, which is awesome because that's not as I see more women at running guns than I do 3-gun typically, but it's underrepresented in what we do, and it's nice to have that,
Yeah. No, we had a great time. That's the biggest thing too. It's like, when else are you going to get out with your wife and do 6 miles with guns and shooting and stuff like that? It's like, you can't ask for that. And it's like, we had a great time.
Live in Chicago?
Yeah, right.
and live 6 miles from work.
Right.
Yeah. So we're gonna wrap this up. We've gone about an hour here. This is pretty long. I had a feeling 13 stages to go over in a match and all the other things with it. I figured this was gonna be long. Mark, wrap up your, give us a quick wrap up for yourself.
All right. So my takeaways were, again, it's all about the training you put into it. This year we did a different run strategy than last year. We did a lot more zone 2 stuff. If you're into running, you'll know what zone 2 is. You can Google that. We did that kind of running instead of the running we did last year. We didn't do as much dry fire, and we felt that on the stages, but we had a great time. Just, again, it's what do you want to do with your wife or your spouse or your significant other, husband, wife, whatever you want to do, you want to call it, in 2023? How do you get out there and get that kind of training? Find something that gets you guys excited to do something together. That's what it was all about. And that was what it was about last year. It was all about, like, hey, let's spend an hour one time a week to do something together. And this is why we're always going to bully Tiger about, you're done, but you're not really done. You're going to get us back out there. You'll find your way. So that was my big takeaway. We had a great time shooting it.
There are other things happening.
There are other things happening, but like getting my wife out to the 700-yard range, that was the first time this year. And so getting her out there shooting farther than she's ever shot before, that's value added. You can't go wrong with that. And then doing the pistol stuff, like, just whatever you can do to get, even if it's not your wife, if it's your best friend, you don't have to have the female dynamic. Like your buddy, he says, oh yeah, I like to shoot. But does he like to shoot like this? Does he like to be sweaty and his calves are stiff legs? He looks like he's walking on peg legs, like Ryan Dixon out there. Like, that's where you really find your friends. And so that's again, that's the whole takeaway for me. It's like, you can't experience this any other way. You can say, oh, we go shooting on the weekends, that's fun. But like, to really push it, you can't. The money is nothing for what you're getting out of it, in my opinion. So,
yeah, awesome. Yeah, my takeaways, it confirmed the things that I knew that I need to work on, and it's awesome doing matches with friend. This is the first team match I've shot with Tim. We've shot a lot of running guns at the same time, same matches, but never together. And yeah, it was awesome. I mean, it's just a great time. Like I said, I love team matches. If you have a chance, go do one, because they're a blast. Yeah, I won't say a lot because we need to wrap this up. Tiger, we'll let you finish this off because this is your match. Again, thanks for putting it on. And I know, John Drosser, gosh, name some of the other people that were like, I know there was a handful of people out there setting up beforehand. We really want to thank them. And also all the sponsors.
And the other people that helped us to make the ROs have a good time, like John's wife, the Mike's wife, all the people that help cook, the people. Yeah,
there's people that help cook.
Those kind of people.
The sponsors, I want a HRT plate carrier and chest rig. I actually, if you've watched our YouTube, if you listen on our Facebook or Instagram or whatever, I did a little review of some different plate carriers and chest rigs, and kind of talked about some of the things I liked about the HRT. That's awesome. They don't have to do that. So go, all those people, go thank them.
Support them.
So Tiger, wrap us up real quick.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to wrap it up. It's 6 years, man. Like you said, John Drosser, God bless him. I don't know why he's my best friend, but he is. Jeff DeFord is another one. He's actually, so I have a few friends. John's husband number 1, Dustin Jones, he's husband number 2. He hauled my ass out there. Jeff calls him my Frodo because he carries me everywhere. Jeff got
he'd be your Sam then.
Yeah, that's what it is. But Jeff got upgraded from main side bitch to sugar mama #1 because he put a couple of Glocks on the table. Like, this guy shows up on Monday, helps build all week, and puts 2 full Glocks plus mags plus everything on the table. Like, you're not going to find anywhere else. All of my sponsors, Thunder Beast, Smokes, Night Force, HRT, all the way down, Bluegrass Targets. God, I can't even imagine.
The bipods.
The B&T Industries with the bipods, the side match.
What are the dry fire? What are those dry fire company? I know had some stuff out there. Manus.
Yeah.
Couple barrel companies.
Yeah, Krieger was there. There's a list on Instagram and Facebook. Go look it up. Go buy from these people. You can literally build entire ranges, matches, rifles, carrier gear. You could outfit units and never buy from people who don't support this sport. So don't buy from people who don't support this sport. If you love this sport, like that's the answer. Because they don't have to.
If there's an option, buy from the people who.
And 9 times out of 10, it's a better quality product, anyways. Like, honest to God, the companies that support us put together some of the best products out there. I don't just say that.
We beat the piss out of it. We beat the piss out of everything they give us, and it goes on.
And they're sending, and they've got shooters. They've got their sponsored shooters they're sending these matches, and they're finding out what's breaking, what's not, what's needed. I mean, there's HRT had people out there. They had one of the owners, one of the co-owners or whatever is set up a stage. And they're out there, and then hey, here's the thing. After the match,
Niles, I mean, he helped me with some practice course shit that I didn't. He's like, he sponsored, he RO'd, he did all of that. And how do you thank Lorraine? She works for Lucas Oil out there. Without her, this doesn't happen.
She was in a pretty bad car accident earlier in the year, still not healed up, and she's out there trying to help us out, and it's really not like she's not getting paid extra money to do that. She's doing it because she's an amazing person.
Right. Another one, Kevin and Jerry, both RO'd, and they have their own match, so go support their matches, go to their match in Wisconsin, do that kind of stuff.
That was if you check back a couple videos / podcasts, the Badger Trekker, that was theirs. I mean, you will find the people who help out in this sport don't just help out in one place. They help out in a lot of the places.
It's everywhere. But yeah, so to kind of wrap up here, before we cut out again, just thank you to everyone who made it the magic that it was. Mark, you said it last year. You said you could have came in dead last, and it would have been a win for you because of the training for your wife. I talk to you guys all the time about it. Zombie never clicked with the community like Legion or Heartbreak or any of those do, but worth every penny, worth every minute, every penny. And thank you everybody for showing up, for doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. You're muted, Ryan.
I just saw that. Thank you. I know this has been long. If you've hung with us, thank you guys. We'll try to get some others. We still got to do the Legion after action, and we've actually got some topics. I've got a list of topics. We're going to try to get back into doing these more regularly. Life's just been crazy for everyone, but I think we've got some cool topics that should help a lot of people. We're planning one on how to win a long range stage. So I've RO'd a lot of long range stages this year. I've seen where people succeed and where people struggle. We want to help you out. So if you're one of those people succeeding, next year you're going to come back and crush it, So, and we'll have Mike in on that because Mike has won a whole lot of long range stages. He's got the Tiger Shoots PRS. He knows. We've all got the experience. We're gonna give you some things to help you. So I think we got some gear things coming up. We're gonna do some rifle. I want to do a rifle podcast on kind of building up your AR for competition. You know what most people use. We got some other stuff coming for you. So thanks for listening. Hope we see you out in the range.